Good morning. Hey, you guys. Hello. What a beautiful Tuesday. What a beautiful day. So, I just thought I would chat for a minute about what many of us call the path. You know, the seeker's path, or the path of the spiritual way of living. And I think it's important, no matter where you are. Hi, Tracy. No matter where you are on that path, to know that it's not always easy. It's a, it's not always an easy path. It's a simple path. It's a very simple path, the spiritual path. It's good morning, hi. But no buts. It's a simple path, and it's often, there are times when it's not the easy path. There's like a magnetic pull in some ways back to the old life that can come. And it takes a fair amount of focus to get going in the way that you want to be going, if you will. Most of us didn't choose a spiritual path because things were going well in our lives. We chose a spiritual path because things weren't going well. We were in misery, depression, and we were living in fear. We were dissatisfied. Even if we looked successful on the outside, whatever that is, there was an emptiness. And so many of us, not everybody, but many of us looked around and said, well, there's got to be more. There has to be more. This can't be all there is. And, we had been told, it's somewhat, we were misinformed by well-meaning people, I think, that, if we got an education and we got married to the right guy or the right gal, we had, 2.2 children, we would have a great life and we could work for 40 years and retire. and those things are all true. It just that we often lived in a world of shoulds and right and wrong and judgment, fear, and it wasn't satisfying. I often say that many of us had what I call the God hole. It was this emptiness, this thing that couldn't be filled. And often we tried to fill it with drugs and alcohol and sex and food and gambling and achievement and experiences, rushing around, always, how am I doing? How am I doing? And so many of us woke up when things were, not going so well. Marriage had just broke up, or the business had just closed, or we had just lost everything, and we realized that we had to find a new way of living, or we were going to die. And we're all, in one way, the body's all, for all of us, it's going to die. But we realized that we wanted to live in a different way. And so not an easy path. Not an easy path. And some paths are more direct than others. But even no matter what, like the 12-step path is very direct. very inclusive, very open, and that's why so many people have adopted it for so many, starting points. And there's I've been listening to a beautiful man recently who has what he calls a direct approach, self examination, and it opens into a beautiful space of love and openness and into the now. And his name is Muji. I've been listening to him a lot, and for years I've been a student, if you will. Hawkins, Dr. David Hawkins, and Eckhart Tolle, and Ram Dass, and Alan Watts, and all of these teachers of the spiritual paths have been in my life. And in the last few years with YouTube, it's so easy to sit with them. It's so beautiful to be in their talks, because it's all there for them. It's all there for us. But not an easy path, and sometimes in the middle of the night, we'll wake up in fear, and the mind makes up story. That's what the mind does. And the story, for many of us, is the story of doubt, the story of fear, the story of not good enough. And, I'm never going to achieve this thing, this bliss, this peace that many of us would love to have, to be able to just sit fully content without drugs or alcohol, fully content, in the moment. To be able to do that is the gift, to be one with the moment. And as a practice, to be able to do that on an ongoing basis. It's a beautiful thing to aspire, and I tell you now that there's no one here that can't do that. There's no one listening to any of what I've been putting out that can't have that or be that. Just remember that the old life and the old beliefs and the old conditioning is like a planet of its own. It has a pull, it has a gravitational pull, and it will, until you can get kind of far enough away from it, the pull is quite strong. And so like a rocket, we need lots of fuel, and that fuel can be, in the 12-step world, of course, being in the middle of the pack, staying with the daily, every day, because we get pulled back into our old ideas. And, some of us have huge egos, which are like the center point that pulls us back to this old idea. I should be able to manage my own life. So just remember, it's not a straight line, but you're making progress. You're moving into that oneness every day. And I mean, we can have it today. It can happen today. It really can. It doesn't have to be a long path and a long road. That's also an illusion. It can happen today. We can surrender it all. We can just surrender it all. Just, have what we call a burning bush experience, come to Jesus moment, we can just throw our hands up and say, oh, that's it, everything, I let it all go. And it can be now. Those type of spiritual experiences happen, and they can hold. So just know that it's there for us. And as we grow into it, if we're taking what William James called the educational path, the spiritual path of the educational variety, if we're on that path, it can be difficult sometimes. It can be a strong pull. So just recognize that when the doubts come up, the fears come up, that's old ego. Use that to come into the moment. If it's in the middle of the night, because it can happen, happens to me. That comes up, just, drop into this moment. Oh, is that right? Thanks, Dave. I wonder what's happening with that. So just drop into the moment when that happens. Just, okay. All right, I'm going to read. In what I'm going to read. What I mean by that, just drop into the moment. What I mean is that you become aware that the doubt is there. You say, oh, look at that. I'm feeling fear. Oh, look at that. So we become aware of it. That's what I mean by that. And our awareness, our consciousness is in the moment. That's what it feels like to be in the moment. Oh, I'm feeling fear. Oh, yeah, thought for the day. And it may be, okay, I'm going to move a little closer. Okay, I'm going to move a little closer with this. There we go. Dave Stewart, my buddy Dave, says that it's been dropping. So I'm just going to move up here onto the deck. Okay, hey you guys. There we go. How's that, Dave? Hopefully that's a little bit better. Okay, July 14th. One of the best places, or the best things it says about the 12-step program is the peace of mind and serenity that it can bring us. I mean, that's what we're looking for, isn't it? The peace of mind and serenity. In our drinking days, we had no peace of mind or serenity. We had the exact opposite, kind of turmoil and that quiet desperation we know so well. The turmoil of our drinking days was caused partly as a physical suffering, the terrible hangovers, the cold sweats, the shakes, and the jitters. But it was caused even more by our mental suffering, the loneliness, the feeling of inferiority, the lying, the remorse that every alcoholic understands. How can I achieve that peace of mind? I mean, that's just exactly what I just talked about, isn't it? Just exactly. So, there we are. Is that better, Dave? Hope so. Meditation for the day. Try to look for God's leading in all our personal relationships. So this is how we grow in the path, right? In all our dealings with other persons. God will help you to take care of all your relationships with people if you're willing to let Him guide you. And of course, how do we let Him guide us? We have to be present. We have to be connected. We have to be in the relationship so that we can hear the intuitive thought, so we can know what our next right step is. Rejoice that God can protect you and keep you from temptation and failure. Temptation being the magnetic pull I was just talking about. God can protect you in all situations during the day. And if you rely on His strength, if you will rely on His strength and go forward, you should feel that you're entering upon the stage of success in the proper way of living. You should feel that you are entering upon the stage of success in the proper way of living. Well, and you will, not always, because the doubts and fears will come, but you should not doubt that better things are ahead of you. Well, you will. Go forward unafraid because you feel deeply safe under God's protection. And that is the possibility, the kind of the higher possibility. And that's where we're going. That's the whole deal. I pray, the prayer for the day, I pray that God may protect and keep me as long as I try to serve Him. I pray that I may go forward today unafraid. So that's the deal. Actually, that's kind of what my talk was about. Yep. That was it. We grow in that knowing. So eventually it's just there, moment to moment. We feel the presence. So to feel it though, we have to stop, pause, meditate, work with others, listen. We're always moving so fast we can't listen. Have that space in our life where we've carved out a spot in each moment to connect with our higher power, with God as we understand Him, with the universal intelligence. Okay, you guys, love you lots. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry if the broadcast was a little spotty. I'm having a little internet problem here lately, so we'll see what's going on with that. Okay, love you, love you, love you. Cheers, bye.